Then you can have.
I'll open the meeting by saying the pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the November 4th, 2025 Walsh County Commission meeting. I'll begin the meeting with additions to the agenda. Jenny,
No,
Amy,
Yes, I can just say this now, other than just how in need the food pantry, our Walsh County food pantry is right now with everything going on, so. If anyone has a ability to be able to provide there, I would encourage you to, this is a really tough time for a lot. And then I do have a PIO, an update he wanted me to share later.
okay, thank you. Paul,
no,
Ernie,
nope.
Christina? No. And myself, none. Okay. Everyone was provided a copy of the monthly bills and the October 21st, 2025 Walsh County meeting minutes. Paul,
I do have a correction on the minutes.
Okay.
In the first paragraph, I added, yeah, it said homeless shelters, it should be picnic shelters.
Pommy shelters, I think is.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's probably.
I did catch that and I didn't double check to make sure it got updated, so thank you.
And then I had one behind, it was no additions to the agenda, so if you could put Suda behind Barta. I wasn't on there
Yes.
for. With no additions.
Okay.
and then I have one as well, and I don't have the minutes pulled up. It was at the very end of the minutes. Oh, it was. It was about Kelsey conducting the sale.
Yeah.
At the next meeting, and she does not conduct the sale, the chairman does, I understand.
Right,
And it's at Kelsey Stanton would be conducting it.
okay,
Oversee or whatever.
Yeah,
okay.
Record.
okay, any other corrections? Okay, hearing none, do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So move.
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. Minutes are approved, for consent agenda, excuse me, is approved. All right, employee time. Do I have anyone here for employee time this morning? Okay, then we'll move on to the Walsh County dispatch discussion and Amy, I believe you added that to the agenda.
Yes.
Okay, I'll let you begin.
All right, so. So following the recent dispatch public meeting on October 22nd, I myself would just like to express my gratitude for the sacrifices made by our volunteers and the invaluable contributions they make to our county. As a portfolio holder, I value the insights shared by our emergency responders. In light of their expertise, I propose the following initiatives to enhance our existing dispatch services. Enhanced training. All employees, particularly new recruits, should receive comprehensive training. I have consulted with Darren at State Radio, who has provided valuable suggestions for virtual training sessions. Crystal and I have also talked about this. Additionally, the department head should prioritize recruitment efforts to attract and retain qualified individuals. The public meeting suggested attending career fairs to engage with younger demographics and highlight the potential of this career path. Advertising and interviewing. In accordance with the budgetary allocations for 26, we should proceed with advertising and interviewing for the emergency dispatch manager. Resumption of dispatching. We should prioritize the restoration of dispatching services in the city of Grafton to ensure consistent communication and coordination among all dispatch employees. In the response to the expressed desire of some taxpayers to maintain a local dispatch center, I acknowledge and respect their sentiments. However, again, as the current portfolio holder, I feel compelled to prioritize the overall well-being of all taxpayers by ensuring that the department operates at its peak. This entails providing what we talked about with the training, maintaining consistency in call handling, fostering collaboration, and strengthening relationships with the city of Grafton and all cities in Walsh County. While implementing these improvements may entail additional financial costs, I firmly believe that they are essential for the department's continued success. As an identified priority, I will not allow the department to stagnate without proactive efforts to enhance its capabilities. Christina also shared with us the data presented in the past by Crystal and Paul, which I believe we've all reviewed over the past few months. As long as we maintain a sufficient number of personnel in the department and continue to strive for improvement, I support maintaining a local dispatch center. However, if we continue to experience employee attrition and operational challenges, I do not believe relocating to state radio would exacerbate public safety concerns. Again, if anyone is interested in within the public, I recommend viewing the YouTube recording of the commission meeting held on July 1st. This recording provides valuable insights into their current practices.
Thank you.
You.
Discussion. Well, I guess I'm just gonna say I feel like we've looked at the whole picture now. You know, and that's where I was in the beginning. I wanted to see the whole picture. Not just state, not just our dispatch, but the whole picture. And I feel like we have done our due diligence. And we have received input from everywhere. I think a lot of us have received input from the public, been out in the public discussing those people. We know there's pros and cons. No matter what we do, there's pros and cons either way, so. Paul.
I guess, you know, it's no secret that I've kind of been an advocate for this all along, that meeting that we had last week, I think was a good, anytime you fill the farmer's room with people, it's a good meeting. I think there were concerns that were brought up that were legitimate. But my problem is, you know, when we asked how many people have seen the presentation from state radio, very few hands went up. That's a concern to me because I think there was a lot of opinions being shared that don't have both sides of the story, and that concerns me, but there was a lot of issues that were brought up that would need to be addressed for sure. I guess I'd like to see us try and address some of those before we make a decision. And I get how you guys want to move on. I get that. I get this has been dragging on all year since May. I understand that, but there was issues brought up with no attempt to, you know, we watched that presentation in July and then we had this meeting in October. There's a great time span there, so issues that were brought up with, you know, this is wrong with state radio or that is wrong with state radio. There was nobody there to address those issues. Who could address them in a competent manner, including any of us. I mean, I don't feel comfortable doing that. So I get it. We want to move on. We've batted this around all summer, but I don't think we've done enough to address some of those concerns, I guess. And you talk about more training and, you know, more salary, and I agree, if we're gonna do it, let's do it right. I don't wanna cut corners. I agree with that, but the reality is, all that's gonna do is widen the gap between what it's gonna cost us for state radio and what it's gonna cost us to have in-house dispatch, so that just widens the gap. And in my mind, it makes state radio look that much more appealing, so. That's, I guess, what I have to say.
Thank you. I've been waiting.
Crystal, what's your number one concern?
My number one concern with the department,
Yeah.
it's always been, you know, staffing. That's always been the question of can we get enough staff? And, you know, as of right now, we are down to 5 dispatchers. If we're fully staffed, we're at 7. So I do have 2 applications, one for full-time, the other person I spoke to intensely about scheduling and stuff. He's looking at possibly starting as part-time, maybe going to full-time. He hasn't quite decided yet. So we do have 2 at this time, but it's also kind of hard to advertise for positions to come work with us when I also have something in the newspaper stating, hey, we're trying to decide whether we wanna keep this department, so who really wants to apply for a job, they don't know what's gonna be there. So, you know, I think there's more we can do with, like, again, with the career fairs and stuff and getting people out there. The dispatchers that we have right now have no intent of leaving or at any time. The one who did leave has kind of been on the edge more so with housing and trying to decide what she was gonna do. She was having issues with that around here, so. I am still fully certified dispatcher. I do fill in as needed as well, and I have done that since I've left dispatching full-time, so. I do put myself on the schedule when we need, so that is an addition as well. So we've always additionally had that. You know, there are other options that we can always look at, like when Pembina County was really short on dispatchers, we have the same systems. There's a few of us that went up there and filled in. So if we got really shorthanded at some point in time, we could always, you know, ask if, say Cavalier County was just getting an RCAD, if that's something that they wanna come and cross-train and with our county. So there are other options that we can, you know, seek out that we haven't as of yet. So
Is it salary a big thing?
I think salary is part of it. I think, going into 2026, we're gonna be, you know, when we start off with we have a dispatcher 1 line and a dispatcher 2 line. Once you get to that dispatcher 2 after 6 months, that, you know, that's helpful. I think a lot of it is scheduling, you know, we can start around the same pay as Marvin's. You know, that's kind of our starting salary right now versus Marvin at night shift. And, you know, 6 months later, you know, they get a boost from us, which is great. But they have their set schedule. They have a Monday through Thursday. They don't have, you know, overnights or weekends. They get their holidays off, whereas, you know, right now we're short staffed, so everybody's working holidays. They don't get an additional day off or, you know, they don't have that luxury. So it's always been kind of troubling to look at scheduling. Can we have straight shifts? You know, that's where we kind of talked earlier about that 40-hour work week, you know, is there any flexibility with that? Legally, not so much, you know, unless we were to change something within our policy. So trying to figure out how we can manage that, you know, and try to find a new schedule to be able to compromise.
Do you get differential?
We get $1 differential between 10 PM and 7 AM. Is it 7? 6? 6? Yeah, it's the same for the jail and the, yep. So that helps, you know, that was, I think, a long time coming for all our departments. So, yeah. Well, it's just, like we said, you know, at that meeting, you know, getting people in, it's not just filling a chair, it's someone who wants to be there, who, you know, has that drive to really give back to their community, because most of them that are in there, they're not there, you know, they're there obviously for a paycheck, but they're there because they wanna be there and they care about their community and helping people. So, and they really enjoy what they do.
One thing I'd like to, I guess, point out or bring up is that when we did start this process. When state radio was checked into, there was going to be, we understood a $700,000 cost savings. That was their estimate. We did our own internal research and Crystal, I believe, between you and Christina, double checking numbers.
Yep.
We were down to about a $350,000 cost savings.
Yep.
And even after that, the $350,000, you mentioned at the meeting, Amy, that we would try to retain the dispatchers. So to me, in that $350,000 cost savings, that was quite a few salaries.
That included 2 admin.
Two, but
Yes.
you had mentioned we try to retain all of them if possible. So really, our cost savings really goes down to a bare amount. Unless I misunderstood you, but that's what I understood. So that's just, I'll get to you, Paul, sorry. That's one thing that I'm looking at is we did look at this as we had that 3% cap coming in. And we weren't using the dispatch to balance the budget, but it was something that we had to look at. I don't feel that the cost savings is significant enough to look at it anymore. So I guess, and I would like to support our first responders and our ambulances and our fire departments that did attend the meeting and, you know, our frontline people out there. Also input from our sheriff's department I believe, Ron, you guys said you were in favor of keeping the local dispatch, correct? You guys have made that statement. You know, looking at all those areas. I'm in favor of keeping our dispatch. But with that, I agree with what Amy said. We do need to beef it up. We need to have better training. We need to get a full staff on me. Do people wanna apply when we're looking to go to state radio? No, they don't. But we need to move on. And say we're keeping dispatch here. We're going to have the best trained, solid, good dispatch in the county. We're gonna pay the best we can, right? And I think we have been all along. We have been doing the best we can. And can we look at a few other ways? Maybe it's to up the differential pay. Dollar isn't maybe enough. Maybe we need $2. You know, something different like that. But what I want to get rid of is the fear in our dispatch department that they have been living with, that I may or may not have a job. And this didn't just start this year. From my understanding, it's been going on a long time, and I don't believe it has been coming from the commission owns. I believe it did come from past leadership in the department, and that should not have happened. That definitely should not have happened. I think as far as the 5 to 6 years I've been on the commission now, the strategy was, we need a backup plan. That's what our goal always was we need a backup plan, not that we were going to close down dispatch. This is really the first time that it's come up where we've been looking at state radio. Now, prior to me starting with the commission, maybe there was, Ernie, you maybe can talk about that, but as far as I know, there should not have been a fear put into those dispatchers that, hey, you might not have a job tomorrow. And I think we need to do a whole reality check in the dispatch department and get things back on the right track. And with that, we need good leadership to do that. I wouldn't want to apply for a job if I thought it might not be here tomorrow, right? But I think if they know that we have made a decision that we're going to keep the dispatch, and let's get it built up. We can have a good dispatch system again. And I'm not saying we don't have a good one now, we just are short staffed, right? So that makes it difficult. And we also have a staff that is sitting there that is scared that they might not have a job tomorrow. I might not have health insurance for my family tomorrow. That's a terrible way to have to work. So I agree. I think we need to make a decision and move on. That's just my spiel. Okay, Paul, sorry.
I just, a couple of points on the dollars, the way I remember state radio's estimate was 5 to 700,000.
Okay.
700,000.
Well, didn't you use 700,000 in,
I used 600.
you used 600 when you were with the jail? Okay.
But my, based on what Crystal put together, my estimate of actual savings would be more like 500,000. Based on her numbers, and the difference between my number and hers, basically she's adding 2 admin positions that I don't necessarily agree with, at least not at this point. And that's really the difference between where she's at and where I'm at.
Except in states say we had to have someone here.
I'm just telling you the difference between
Okay.
my number and her number. I think there's other ways that those things could be handled, but
State said that most counties retain 1 to 2 admins to maintain those administrative calls. And so it's their recommendation to do that. How we choose to do that, if we kept people on or not. So when we had spoken about it, we had talked about, yeah, we want to keep 1 or 2 on to be able to handle that volume. So it wasn't all put on the sheriff's office or
Mhm.
extra hours.
to be clear, I wasn't cutting all of the positions. I don't remember the numbers right now, but I think I had 3 people still left in the department. So
Mhm.
anyway, I do have a question for Crystal.
Mhm.
In the 911 fund. There's,
And will you tell us the page number, Paul, because there are no page numbers on these in the bottom right corner, which is fabulous.
it was in the packet, I don't know what it's in this.
There's one emergency managed dispatch 911, page 2.
Well, this was a fund balance.
Oh, okay.
Oh, the fund balance? Yeah,
It was
well,
like
okay.
546,000 something.
So I sent it to you guys last night in the email, but I put it at the bottom of page 2 in the agenda. At the end fund cash balances, the 911 landline and I
Oh,
the
yeah.
real end.
Mhm.
Yeah,
What is that money used for? It's 543,000, 911 cell phone fund balance, so those are. Our phone fees that we go ahead.
So that's the money that we budget for, so we take from those funds and budget for the following year. So it accrues, so then there are gonna be some years that we're gonna need more, other years we don't, and so then we have those reserves. So when we are going through budget season and I'd asked for, do we, you know, what's our total balance? I'm not sure if it was just a miscommunication or if I misunderstood, so I had thought that this amount was how much we had in total for, that included the remainder of this year. So I had to factor in the remainder of our budget, what we haven't utilized is coming out of that 500,000, and then what's left of that is what we're gonna have for the following year. Less what we're continuing to receive. So when I'd spoken with Christina last week, at the end of the week, and she had said that is what is just in our revenue at that point in time. So one thing that we talked, and I'm like, well, I think we need to start looking at budget stuff sooner rather than later, so we can sit down, because we can actually combine those 911 landline and 911 cell, we don't have to have them separate anymore. So we could have it into just one account, so we can see everything and itemize things a little bit better. Cause it would be nice to be able to say, this is how much we have, this is how much we can expect to receive, and maybe move, instead of having some of those, you know, some funding. Right now, we only have half of a salary for a dispatcher coming out of that line, or coming out of our 911 funds, the rest is our general budget, so we have the general budget for those
Right.
salaries. So it'd be nice to revamp, say, this is how much we have, this is how much we can afford to do moving forward. And this is how much we've used, if we expended all of it, how much our carryover, this is how much we're getting for the year. To be able to move some of those pay lines out of that and out of the general fund.
And she's going exactly what I was
Yes.
kind of. With exactly what I was thinking is. These 911 line, or this 543,000. Can be used for operating.
Correct,
Is
yeah,
that-
so a lot of it we use for equipment and maintaining all that stuff, so.
And I'm all for you having a healthy balance.
Yes.
Don't get me wrong, because you have expensive equipment, and I'm not opposed to you having funds in reserve for those types of things, but. It seems to me that we could take some pressure off the general fund by utilizing the 911 dollars. More readily for operating.
I agree, and I think it'd be nice to be able to sit down and go through all the numbers, and this is what we could expect, you know, at least a general amount of what our revenue would be, and this is what our funds are, to be able to transfer some of that.
So can I ask? So it's about almost 700,000, it looks like, between the two
Mhm.
that you have in an account. That does not get rolled into the general fund at the end of the year, that stays in your fund.
A dedicated funds,
It
yes.
is a dedicated fund
Mhm.
system, and each year that's going to continue to grow.
Yes,
Yes, I agree, Paul.
The 543,000, that's like 4 years worth of 911 fees. And if there's a reason why it's being. Left in there. That's fine, but I.
Mhm. Was Brent saving up for something, do you know?
I'm not sure, so. It's normally.
Would you like to reach out to him and ask maybe, because I do kind of wonder why these funds were not being utilized
Maybe we use some of it for like radios and stuff going through the process.
for the siren system. is it?
I'm just thinking, you
I-
know,
I got to reach out, get a little bit more detail on that.
Certainly worth doing some research.
Absolutely.
or your answer when we were talking about getting, I don't know if you wanna call it stronger, I totally agree with Amy about the training and stuff. But I also look at. Okay, so we're talking about getting stronger, but are we strong when we're missing 2 dispatchers? We're making everybody work a little harder and everything else. So when I look at both of them, I think we can hire the 2 dispatchers and move forward and get stronger at the same time. With education, teaching, and I don't know what needs to all be done. But I always think when we're short somewhere, somebody else is working harder, and face it, sometimes mistakes get made. So in response, I'd like to see us move forward and then still follow Amy's clue on the teaching and all that stuff, so.
That's it.
You know, every time we're short a department here, somebody's gotta work harder, and I don't know if that's fair either.
No, it's not.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
Crystal, do you know is there with the upgrades that are coming, like we talked to, I think 40,000. There's a couple of things we've discussed, is that a separate? Is that a separate budget or would that come out of the 911 fees, or do you have
That
that?
would be coming out of our memory fees.
So I think
That's
we
out
need
of
to
our-
be aware, like there's gonna be some upgrades that are gonna need to happen with what we have,
Yeah, so-
so I just wanna be sure we're not.
Dipping into too much.
Or just pulling too much for operating to not be able to upgrade things that we need to do.
Correct, so we just need to, that's where we're gonna have to look at, okay, well. like, EMD right now, so that is something that we have to upgrade by 2029. The flip cards that we utilize will no longer be able to be used. So we can look at, there's great systems that we can integrate into our current CAD system where we get a call, we change your incident code. All the questions that we need populate right there and they get interconnected. And then, so like the one that I reviewed, I know Brent had reviewed before he left. Our lead dispatcher Sheila had done a little demo with them as well. They're more on the spending side, it's called Total Response, and they're about $40,000 for the program, and it's about $10,000 additionally each year to maintain it. However, they come with all their own training modules specifically for that program, but additional program, like just dispatcher training, like online dispatch modules for them that they update and they manage. So that's something that would be additional training. What you just received is I just kind of wrote up a quick little thing about what we kind of do in some of our training and just kind of how we go through, like what our day 1 to our first month to months 2 to 3. You're not considered fully certified at least until 6 months after you make sure you had all your certifications, but that's just a general overview. So I've talked to Sheila about this. We're gonna sit down and kind of say, what else can we add in? Like I talked to Amy, she talked to Darren, there are different programs through like Nina and Apple Online that we can, purchase training. We can purchase this training for a dispatcher that comes at a cost of $299 per person. So sometimes we haven't done some of those things because it hasn't been cost efficient for a budget for that year. Sometimes it's like, well, that's something we're looking at and that person leaves before their 6 months, So getting somebody in and getting them, making sure they're staying and then getting them that additional training, that may be something we do at 6 months, where we're gonna invest that additional funding into you for these additional trainings. Some of those things, some of them are free, some of them are not, so we just, me and Sheila are gonna be sitting down to look down lists of what else we can implement and how we can do it and how we can track it to be able to beef it up a little bit more.
So question for you, do you feel that you will have an easier time hiring if we make the decision to keep the dispatch locally and we wanna build our dispatch? Do you feel that you will have people that will apply? I know that's a tough
That's a
question to
tough question,
answer.
it all depends on the person, I feel however much we throw at it is what we're gonna get out of it. So if we have employees that are coming in that are, feeling confident and, we can figure out a better schedule and the pay's decent enough and they feel comfortable with their training, it's, part of it is the environment and making sure that we're talking to each other enough and we're doing all our check-ins, and so I've been trying, believe it or not, this like a lot of times in the mornings, I'll go in and we'll just have one dispatcher on from 8 until 11, Today, we have one dispatcher on right now, so a lot of times I'll go in the morning, I'll log into a station, so I'm set in case something happens. And then I will sit there and ask, what's been going on, how are things going, trying to have more one-on-one time with them. And I did that as an admin as well, so I'm just trying to maintain that so that we have that communication to make sure that everybody feels comfortable with what they're doing. So I think if we put it out there and we try to get people to come in and we kind of keep pushing that positive environment and make sure that, we know that this is a tough job, but we're going to, oh, and one thing I didn't even include in there, ride-alongs. A lot of times I know we have people on ride-alongs with the deputies to get them to learn the county better. I think part of that is just going to be getting the right people in and getting people to apply. And so a lot of times when people see stuff, they're just looking at that dollar amount and they have no idea what the job entails. Can't tell you how many interviews I've been in where they're like, oh, I didn't do any research on what this job is. I'm like, okay, can you tell me what you think it is? It depends on the people. So I think being able to get out there more and talk about it more, whether it's at school or posting more questions or being more visible online about it will give people better understanding.
And I agree with you, 100%. Positive environment is key, and we need to work on that.
Just morale, yeah.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Another reason to make a decision. Now is that we've delayed the implementation of the Siren 2020, and. We have radios that
Yeah.
are that we bought 5 years ago or so already, that are not being used for its intended purpose, so. I would urge you to make a decision today so we can start down that path of implementing the Siren 2020.
Thank you, Ron, Paul.
I've heard that comment before, that this is delaying the implementation of that, but why have those radios, I mean, we've had those radios for 5 years. Why hasn't that happened yet? I mean.
State. They had to build towers, they had to, find places to build them. Now our towers in our area are built and they're getting ready to go, so we can start moving through our transitions for everything. The problem is with that is a ton of work with a lot of late night meetings with other entities and a lot of work for me. So I did not want to push forward to start doing any of that stuff, not knowing that I was going to complete it. So either I was gonna push forward and keep doing it because we're keeping our center and we're making all of our fleet mapping and everything specific for our stations. Otherwise Darren would have to take care of it and he would handle everything of how they want it done with all of their channels and everything situated at state radio. Cause how they might have their talk channels and everything set up might be different than how we do it here.
And can I just clarify, just Paul, so you know, and maybe you guys can tell me if I'm wrong, but it wasn't just because of this. No, this has been going
No.
on, and it's because the state could only take on so many counties each year, and you have to
Yes.
wait your turn.
We
So
were
is that
supposed to
correct?
have this done in 2020.
Yeah.
And it's been delayed consistently. We are just now at the point where we can start moving forward with Walsh County in our transition to getting there. But moving forward means needing a decision of, are we doing it for our center or is Darren doing it for that?
I understand that, but
Yes.
so when was the state ready with this? I mean, the state, notified you this, we can go ahead with this. Was it?
Jared told me shortly after Brent left that we could start moving forward.
All right. I just wanted to get some clarification.
So, like it's been said, the Siren 2020 was supposed to be implemented in 2020. They guarantee so much coverage for, and they just didn't have the capacity for that coverage. So then put 3 towers in, then buy land, build towers. It was a bigger project than it turned out that they thought it was going to be. Like any project, I guess, but it took longer to implement than they thought it was going to. But now we're ready for our turn, and I think there are other counties already that Grand Forks County is already. They're using their towers, or the system, so I would like to get going on that project and get that moving as quickly as possible, not just for us, but for the emergency responders.
Danny,
I remember, was that a $200,000 or a $300,000 investment? It was a pile of money.
For us,
Yeah.
Oh, our consoles, I think, our radio consoles when we got them, 360,000.
plus all the radios.
Plus all the
Plus
radios.
radios for, yeah, cause you guys
Yeah.
purchased that.
Our
yourselves.
department, school
Yeah.
district, everybody's sitting with this stuff that.
Yeah, and with 5 years, I sure hope that they last us. We start using them,
It'll be outdated.
technology, but well,
Outdated
that's
too.
my fear. I think I just would like to move ahead. I would make a motion that we keep local dispatch.
I'll second it.
any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll take roll. Amy,
Yes.
Danny,
Yes.
Ernie.
Yep.
Paul,
No.
myself, yes, motion carried. All right, thank you, Crystal, for the extra work that you put into this, and please let the dispatchers know that. Spread the word. Let's get it staffed. Thank you for your patience. All right. Next up on the agenda is Tommy Dam Shelters. I'm not sure if that was Paul or Jason or who.
I added to the agenda, but we talked about it at the end of the last meeting, I wanted to buy the materials and have it done house to save some money. And I'll leave the rest up to Jason, I guess.
So
Good morning, Jason.
good morning. We had talked in other meetings, the last meeting I was, or commission meeting, I wasn't here. But starting the September 9th budget meeting, or now the 16th budget meeting, there was conversations about spending down the current funds in Hami. After that 16th budget meeting or commission meeting, I thought that it was. I was supposed to move forward to spend those funds, we didn't have to have them, so I had gone out. Got contacted the different contractors. And started things in motion to get this project done this year with the funds from this year, so we're not carrying anything over. There's, with doing it from in-house, our guys aren't builders, they're, their funding line is not supposed to go towards anything like that. So we would have to build it out anyways over time, it's not gonna be a free labor type of situation. But I'm gonna put a century code in the state constitution, they can't be used for anything other than maintaining their buildings and the roads and bridges. Anything else has to be built out in time for it.
You pretty much anything they do at Homey is built out, correct?
Yes.
I mean, it's built back to the
Yes.
Homey. Okay.
I guess I'd like some clarification on that, I'd like to see that law. Or the century code or the constitution that says that there is. Historically, the highway department's done these things all the time. So I'm an advocate of the highway department doing these types of in-house things to save the general fund money. I don't know where the commission is on this, but all I know is it's been done historically over and over again. I think we gotta do whatever we can to save the general fund money, so that's where I'm at. He's clearly in a different place, so that doesn't really pertain to this particular project. But that's one of my concerns that come out of this, is I think we need to do as much in it. And obviously, I don't wanna take people off the roads for any reason, but there is downtime. There's going to be downtime. And when we have downtime, I think we can do things internally. I'm not aware of anything in the state law that says that he must be, and if it is, it is. But this has been the practice historically for many years, so I don't know where we're at.
Well, I do know ever since Jason started with us, you informed us that we, by century code, we did need to bill. I think we were all a little surprised by that, to tell you, I mean, maybe not all, but I think we were. I'm sure you can get the century code and provide a copy.
It's all from the funding side line, because all the guys' funding lines for all their salaries are off the highway distribution fund. The highway distribution fund has particulars on what it can and can't be spent for.
Mhm.
And that ties back into the state constitution with it. So it has not been done since I've been here, so 4 years.
I'm sure, but you said that what they're doing at Hami, they're billing for. So why would this be different? I mean, it can't, they still do it, we just would bill the way that we are now.
Oh, absolutely,
Yeah.
it would still be billed for, yeah, they can, I'm not saying they can't do it, I'm just saying we'd still be paying for it, so. If they have downtime, I'm sure, are you looking for the guys for something to do, or prior to this?
This is a situation, this is talking about setting a crew there for a week to rip off the entire roof deck of shelter of a building. Take everything off, make the repairs that need to be made, put the new deck on and then put new steel on. You're talking, this isn't a filler project where you just have it open for the public and do these things at the same time. It's not a, hey, their beach needs to be, go and spend a couple hours there, this tree needs to get that done, go spend an hour and come back out. Run the blade through, patch it up, come back out. This is a serious project. This isn't just hour filler. It's totally different on that aspect of it.
So I went back and watched the September 16th meeting, and we were talking about reshingling two shelters with new shingles and soffits is what was mentioned. So, you know, switching from shingles to shingles to steel is gonna be more expensive, I'm assuming.
To wash, it's actually a little bit cheaper for labor for install.
Yeah.
And we won't have to worry about it afterwards.
And I'm not opposed to going to steel, but my assumption was steel was gonna be more expensive. The other problem I have is I would like to see us tighten up the bidding prospects a little bit, personally, if we don't have a written policy on what's something, a process to bid, we should have. And if we don't have a written policy, we must have
Unwritten rule.
yeah, thank you. Something that says this is how we do this, and outside of the jail, bids is probably one of the biggest complaints I get. In the less than a year that I've been here, the bid process is a problem for people, and so I just wanna make sure that everybody who is interested in bidding on this has a chance. That's really all I'm.
And I'm gonna say, I don't disagree with you. When I first came on the commission too, I guess my thought was, hey, wait, we always need to see at least 2 to 3 bids. Right? We should always see the two to three bids. Maybe we need to work with Tanya. I would say it'd be a good idea to work with Tanya and let's get a formal process put in place. Maybe it's have to be advertised in the paper at least one time. You know, or whatever, and we require, say, a minimum of 2 or as many as 3 bids. I think that's something we could look at. I think it would be good to look at, to get it in writing, so that all the new employees know, because we do have such a turnover in employees. I feel in this situation, we sent Jason out of that meeting with a get it done any way you can. So that we could use those funds this year, and I think that's kind of on us. Maybe it's on me as the chairman. That's what I recall of the meeting was, hey, we wanna use those funds this year. We don't want, because we didn't wanna have to levy form next year. So we sent you out, I feel we sent you out with hey, see what you can get for bids, see who can actually do the project, that we can actually still get it done this year. And I think we sent you out with a loose direction, and I apologize for that. That's on us.
And I'm new here, and maybe I'm the only one that took it the way I took it, cause I took it as, let's try and get this done this year. But there's still a process, and I just assumed there would be a formal process.
Right.
And you told them, yeah, let's try and get that done this year, like I said, but there was no discussion, there was no motion, so. Again, I'm just going back to the bid process, I want it a little more.
I agree.
I agree with the bid process too. Since I've been here, times have changed. When everybody's busy, you can't get anybody to bid or do anything. And then all of a sudden, when it slows down and everybody's got nothing to do, everybody wants to bid on it. So that's why I think we gotta be more careful. Fine stream it, if you have to have a license to do this or whatever, or some code or whatever, cause we gotta follow this cause of century code or whatever. I think we gotta look at these permits and say, okay. You can bid on this, but you gotta have this and this and your insurance and everything. And get that all in a process or whatever you wanna call it, like you said, have Tanya look at it. Then we put it out there and whoever wants to bid can. And maybe he meets 2 out of the 3 requirements, but if he doesn't meet the 3rd one, well, then you don't get the bid. So, and that just covers us, I think, cause as long as I've been here, I've seen things like this happen, and yeah, for the highway department, it's a little different, they're bigger. Well, we took one bid this year and look at, the guy didn't do it. Look where we are now. So I think it's a better idea that we maybe get a little stricter on these bids and put a formal thing out there that says, here it is, here's your requirements, if you wanna bid, here it is.
Jason,
Is this gonna include cars, machinery, equipment?
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know, all this should be in a written policy.
Yeah.
So that the department can pick it up and know what they can and cannot do.
That state,
my opinion.
I don't know if you're going there, but that state bid on these equipment, you know, we've always did it for the sheriff car and Brent's pickup or whatever, but now that we're
No, we
doing it.
did not do it for Brent's pickup,
Well, yeah,
that's where
yeah,
the
that's
problem
right.
started.
But other, but now we're into the big equipment. The blades and everything else, and you know, when we could save that kind of money, yeah, I don't know if we have to do something with that or not.
I think we do.
I totally get it, Daniel.
Yeah, I'm just saying, that
Jason,
The state bid process, they already go out and do all that stuff for us. So the people that are competing for the state bids have to compete to be on that list to get that state bid. So those portions are already done. That's where it streamlines for those portions. Public buildings is a different part of the century code than standard purchasing. Century code for public buildings is section 48, where you don't have to have an architect for anything for different things until you get to the threshold of $250,000. Those projects bid out differently than regular projects do. By century code, everything under $1,000, you just go purchase, anything from 1,000 to 100,000, you're supposed to get through, talk to 3 different people. I did talk to 3 different people about the process of it. Normally, everything that we do is bid up and put in the paper for everything. So that the people do know, this is the only time that we haven't done a building project or it hasn't been bid, or I just reached out to people to go and do these things. Unless it's a small immediate emergency type of repair.
because time was of the essence, because we were trying to get it done yet this year, correct?
Correct. So, and the first 2 companies reached out to, P. Kelly, Warren Buildings, they didn't have any time. This company that we moved forward with, they had the time to do it. Since then, we've been holding their hand to make sure that they get the things that they are required to have. They should have a builder's contractor's license, they need to have the insurance, so they got all those things. They've squared away, it was a transition for an ownership of them, they didn't have the things that followed through, they thought they could work out the other stuff, they can't, it needs to be their own. So we can work through that process on it. The other thing is, over the years, I've required to everybody that's doing anything to have a contractor's license for mowing or anything else. The commissioners told me to take that out, so in this new snow, we took that out, they don't have to have that contractor's license. Everybody I talk to for highway departments, they don't deal with that stuff. I talk to the state, they recommend that you keep it in, but you don't have to. And so, the commissioners told me to take it out, I took that part out, but they still have to be insured to work here. We have damages to things that if they're not insured, then what? So those are the things that we're kind of set at, and that's where you get into the different pieces of it. Pam Sharp, who used to be the OMP manager, she and I had multiple conversations on these different things of what, for the buildings and the different coding and the certifications that you have to have for purchasing in the state. So there's the different principles I have been
A
following.
lot to it. So I guess with that, I feel like we've got Hami Shelter on here and we're getting more into a
Yeah.
policy on,
Everything.
on purchasing and advertising. Could we get that on for maybe another agenda and look at it more closely? Could we possibly form a committee to work with Tanya and develop some policy?
I think,
Well, I mean, about employees, you could have 1 commissioner and employees on the committee to work on it. But whatever you guys think would be best.
yeah, I think what we gotta look at too, and times have changed since I've been here. I think there's another cap $1,500. On what you can purchase without an agreement. I think realistically, we gotta raise that. I mean, nowadays, what does $1,500 buy it? And some of these times, if it's an emergency or something, maybe we set it at 2,000 or 4,000 or 5,000, but. If we're gonna look at all this purchasing and hiring, I think that's something we gotta look at.
Right.
It's getting out of hand.
And I agree with that, but there again, that's a policy that
Yep.
if you dug deep, you could find it in the minutes somewhere, but it's not a written policy, and that puts the department heads at a disadvantage, because there's nothing for them to refer to specifically to say.
I can't remember, but we were at 500 and we increased it either to 1,000 or 15, and I don't.
I believe it's 15.
Yeah, okay.
And that is true.
Versus coming up with, not that I don't think that having more involved is good, but my feeling is why don't we let Tanya find from other counties what they have as a policy in place, and we can work off of that. I mean, even from a starting point, like, yes, we can tweak it to make it for Walsh, but instead of reinventing the wheel,
Yeah.
let's use what something's already out
No,
there that's
absolutely.
working.
We need to stay on the shelters.
I know, okay, so, all right, we
So,
will reach out to Tanya.
Do we have any documentation to go with this?
For the Hami shelter? Do you have anything?
For prices,
Yes.
I have theirs and then I have text messages and conversations, so I'm required to have it in that part, but this is. This is the price that was within the salary that we had available that they had given us. It's got 3 different payment schedules for it. Even higher than I was estimating at, but they found more things that I wasn't anticipating that I didn't catch when they were looking at the project.
You're not building inspector?
No, I'm not certified, I'm a building inspector, nor do I want to be. That's a whole nother funding.
Can I ask what it said at the top here above this BHS?
It's Blake Shaw, it's his name.
Okay.
Madam Chair,
Yes,
what do we have for, in that fund?
$60,000 is remaining, there's 50,000 in salaries.
You were guesstimating 30,000, weren't you?
For one, this is
For
for,
two.
No, it was for 2.
No,
This
I
is
think
for two?
This was for 2.
The original conversation was to use the caretaker line item, which I think was 30.
30,000.
And then there's an additional line for salaries too, so, yeah.
of 16, so you had 46 to work with, correct?
There's enough money in this existing salary line to cover all this, yes.
So this will basically get us 2 new shelters, essentially. After that, are we done at Hami for a while?
Should be.
Good.
So it's 9,500 in materials, 31,000 for labor.
Rip off all the deck and everything and put on a whole new deck and rip off and remove all this disposal, everything.
That's why the labor's out, you're doing two things, tearing it down and
The
building.
deck underneath it is shot, so it's gotta come off, so. They can't go on it safely,
No.
so just put it on top of it.
Wouldn't look at it too.
and do we have a time frame that they will have this done?
Their equipment's sitting there, they're ready to go if I can tell them yes today.
But have they given you a time frame?
They get it done in the next couple of weeks, they're gonna have to wait for steel because they have to order that. So,
Then in 2 weeks.
Guess my question would be, do we need 2?
there's has been times where we've rented out both in the last year, yes. There's a couple other small ones out there that when they get to be the point, I don't think they need to be kept. They get to the point where I've never seen anybody using them, so.
Then,
I'll just make a motion, we go ahead and get it done. Accept the bids as is and. Get them going.
you have a motion, we have a second.
I'll second it.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll take roll. Denny,
Yes.
Ernie,
Yes.
Paul,
No,
Amy,
Yes.
myself, yes, motion carried. All right, thank you, Jason.
Not for me. So, I have the pretty next thing that wasn't in your packet, it's for our Julie Bridge inspections.
No,
You're a solid one every time.
never win my record.
So the first thing was in your packet, that's what the North Dakota maintenance certification, that's just agreeing that we're doing our inspections and keeping things as we are for our state funding CMC roads. That's just that annual signatures that we have to get from everybody. Kelly's already signed off, I've signed off.
This was emailed to me, correct? Yeah, and I didn't want to sign until I talked to you about it, so, okay,
I believe it goes to the commission and through the auditor's office on, it, yeah.
okay.
Now, do we have to pay for this one too, or this is just signing our like away?
That one's just saying that we're following the rules.
You don't, do you need a motion on that? Okay. Do I have a motion to approve the maintenance certification, county federal aid project?
Second.
Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none, I'll take roll. Amy,
Yes.
Paul, Denny,
Yes.
Ernie,
No,
Wait. No, you didn't do this one.
I don't care, I still want this.
Myself, yes, motion carried.
It's the principle of it. They're like moving targets, these things.
The next item was a Paul Swenson foliage easement, it's County 19, it actually drains into the drain. Water Commission approved this permit, but being they're inside of the 80 feet of our right of way, they also have to have a foliage easement for it. The project won't be doing anything, the water won't actually go underneath, even County 19, will go right into the drain, and go underneath the interstate, so I have no problems with this.
Do you want these all done separately?
The foliage easement, I think, should be separate from the other two things.
Alright,
Motion closed.
Second,
any discussion? Hearing none, I'll take roll. Danny,
Yes.
Amy,
yes,
Paul,
Yes.
Ernie,
Yes,
myself, yes, motion carried.
Thank you. The next two are drainage permits. The first one's for Stephen Lee Lassard, by Highway 11, County Road 11 up by Oakwood. They have problems with loader and different things where the beat field is underwater. They were given emergency permissions to move forward by the water board and, Ernie and Paul, while I was down in Sioux Falls. This is just a permit to follow things up and make everything kosher for it. The permit was actually on my desk the day that I was driving back, where they had filled it in. But they couldn't wait before losing more beats and adding more, creating more mud on the road. The other one is for John Miller. It's to remove a crossing that is usually underneath water on Highway 15. They're gonna remove that one and extend a crossing that is existing into a driveway where it'll be a dual purpose drive, so we'll be using the same culvert, patch it, and I have no issues with that either, so,
And this is the John Miller Ford bill.
yeah.
There are two John Millers left,
Yeah.
one Tony has.
is he gonna be doing the work himself or?
Yeah,
I make a motion, we approve both of these drainage permits.
Have a motion to have a second.
Second.
Any further discussion? All right, take roll, Paul,
Yes.
Ernie,
Yes,
Danny,
Yes.
Amy, yes, myself, yes, motion carried.
and, just keep going with the things that are on the agenda before I go to the last one. Mud on roads, we have a lot of it this year, they're scraping a lot of things, people are gonna be getting bills for it. We're waiting to see if these were done, the gravel trucks are rolling. We'll be graveling 6, 8. 19, 4, possibly starts on 2, it's gonna be a mad dash where we're trying to get as much done before the weather sets in on us as possible. Possibly we're bringing Bob's Blade over from Adams to help us with his packer to try and pack some of this gravel down, so the stuff we are putting down, we try and keep. So when we get to the snow, we're not just throwing it all in the ditch. So, but before he comes over here, I wanna make sure all the roads are ready for winter. We're not just gonna pull them if we're not set. We're kind of in a mad dash to get all the blades and everything put together so we can get everything tuned back in after the harvest. So it was our first wet one in a while and we took some pretty good damages. It's wide spread.
I would like to compliment Jason and the highway department. I've been called on man mud on roads and I'll tell you what, they bladed it one day and 2 days later or 3, they didn't even look like they touched it.
There's some days we were on the same spot feeding.
Yeah, and they got some complaints from people, well, you haven't been there for a while. Well, it's changed, and this year especially, I said, I couldn't believe it. On 19, I was out there on a Thursday and I went back on a Sunday. I couldn't believe that road in 2 days, what it looked like, and 6. And it was just, it's just, you know, soft roads, traffic, a lot of weight on them, plus speed. So I guess, thank you for the public for having patience with this, and I think Jason and the guys, you know, we were short help because some guys were in beats and stuff, so I just wanna compliment the guys and Jason on, I think the job well done under the circumstances.
Thank you. I'll pass that on.
Amy,
do you have times of the year when you generally always gravel? So like,
On. And it's just whenever spring load restrictions come off, we start graveling.
okay,
Yeah,
on my road on 8 specifically, I can just speak to that, you know, when there's gravel put down in August. There was gravel put down in August this year and it just, I mean, my husband said it's worthless, like, You need it in June, pack it down so that you're prepared and ready when harvest comes. You put gravel down right before in August, so that's just on 8, that there
We
has
had
been.
spots on 8 where we had to put more gravel down in August because the dirt was showing through. We didn't, wasn't that heavy, there's spots that we were doing that everywhere, where we're having to dig out, so we're blading up year round. We have a heavy push with contractors in the beginning of the spring, and we're probably gonna be bringing Jim Thompson back, cause he's got the bid right now. To try and get more done this fall, so we can get things put back in. But yeah, we're graveling all the time. Soft spots, hard, frost boils. Some of those you can't even get the trucks onto it until August this year, they weren't healing, but we're graveling pretty much all summer. And we go through a list of everything we try and go through. There's some things that this fall aren't gonna get gravelled. We're gonna be hitting the hard spots, the worst spots. We're gonna do our best, but I wanna say right now, there's some things that aren't gonna get done.
And then some of this mud on road, Stewart was out there on Sunday, when he got that call, I went, oh, look, he couldn't even get the mud off the road, it was packed so hard. I think he waited for rain, he got some and leveled it, and he said, what do? I said, get it as good as you can, and I said, I think he went back after we got that rain and did it.
Well,
And I said, it was a different animal this year.
that stretch, we were there on 19 and 8, we were there on Thursday afternoon, Friday morning, Saturday and Monday.
Yeah.
And that's why some of the stuff to the west part wasn't getting done, is because we were at people that blade covers from Forest River to Ramsey. We had to keep pulling them back this way, while where the other blades are chasing. I took Bob out of Adams and put him in Eric's blade while Eric was gone, so we could chase mud.
Yeah, and I was getting calls on 12B and we couldn't send them out there because they were on mud and then you had to,
The blade needed to have a date with the contractor.
right, Jenny.
We've only got so much equipment, so much manpower, and graveling is so subject to weather, that it's just, it is what it is, and I appreciate the job you're doing.
Thank you. That's my speech on the Mullen Road, so we'll be rolling.
This year has just been a struggle for everybody,
So,
Not only that, you talk about mud on road, but there's a lot of guys that, when they pulled the trucks up on the road, all of a sudden they turned and went down the ditch, we got good ruts in our ditches too.
They did it in townships. There's townships that I've gotten phone calls from that somebody ran a disc or a cultivator down the middle of their township roads that were dirt roads. There's people that are going out there and doing it the right way. They're taking a box blade and a scraper and trying to get the mud back off. And there's people that are think that they're using a 3-foot dirt box on a Bobcat is the way to go. And piling from the side of the road, that doesn't work. So it's not making an attempt in our eyes, because that just gives us other things that we're gonna have to address. That's not them taking care of it, so. The last thing I have for you today is Northeast Region Bridge Inspection Load Rating. This is for our inspection 6 June bridges for $17,940.16.
Yay.
These average about $2,500 a piece. So.
And for the commissioners who were not able to attend the convention when we had our meeting with DOT, it was discussed again.
Did they listen?
They always listen.
That one guy said, we never brought it to him before, I think we brought it to him every year.
Next year, they'll have new RFPs, so that's kind of
Well, I
what
hope
they
so, yeah.
told us.
They also, Jesse Cattermas, that's been the assistant district engineer. Not sure how long Jesse was there in Grand Forks, he has moved out to Bismarck and is part of the local transportation, now. With this division and is working with the bridge inspections, so. Our relationship that we have with Jesse in this area, and Jesse's knowing the bridges and different things, I think, can definitely benefit the bridge program for the local transportation portion of DOT. Brandon Bizey, since he's taken over for Brian Fuchs, has always listened, and we got the ears of the big boys up there too, so. They're listening more, and we're giving them more examples of different bridges that have been closed and showing them the aspects and okay, why now, why not then? and showing them the biggest thing. We understand with the DOT that they don't wanna have a contract with every county to do the road for the bridge inspections. But what we do want is consistency. I don't want something where 1 year is fine and the next year is not, and then when nothing changes between them. That's the part I can't, I can't, so.
I think their biggest problem is when I talked to that guy at the DOT and he told me they rotate those guys. That's the biggest problem. You get 4 or 5 guys that come and look at a bridge in June, and then next June you get 4 or 5 different guys, they look at it different. That's why they're not consistent. And he was almost proud of it, and I said, no, that's your problem. Keep them in the same bridge, so same guys are looking at the same bridge all the time. Don't bring somebody from out west to come here east and then take these guys out east, cause everybody's, no matter what you do, you're gonna look at it and see something different. That's where the consistency isn't the same. And hopefully they listen to that and keep them in their same areas.
Amy,
It's interesting, cause I actually brought that up and he kind of came back and said, we want them to be objective, so they get a survey, they get a form. And that's what they want new eyes on, so they kind of push back on that a little. This survey we got from Upper Great Plains, that looks, you received that as well?
Gravel survey,
No, bridge and road.
Bridge and
needs,
road needs or whatever we.
I have not.
it just came on.
just to be sure, cause it's direction of the legislature, so I just wanna make sure we're loud and clear on that
Great
one.
Plains transportation, yeah.
Wasn't it 3 or 4?
I don't plan on filling it out, because there is no way I'm knowledgeable on that, I mean, it's asking for a ton.
I'll make sure it gets filled up.
That was my question. yeah.
Wasn't it 3 or 4 years ago, we told them how many million we needed, they still didn't believe us.
Every biennium, the Upper Great Plains Transportation goes and does another study for an update for legislatures. When I first started, the money that, I don't remember what the number from last year was, or the last one was, but the number that sticks out to me is from the first study where Walsh County needs $26.4 million a year to maintain the level of our bridges and our roads that we are right now, gravel and paved. We can never fund that. That's why the Prairie Dog Fund is the way it used to be, where everyone was getting those checks. It's helped us so much because we had more local control of how we spent that money in that funding line, where we can make and get after some different things. The change where we have to compete for half that money now, it hurts. It slows everything for our progress going on road projects. And bridge projects.
And that was brought up down at our convention this past week, and like they said, we're the message deliverers, talk to your legislatures, they're the one to change this.
Yeah.
That was the message, talk to the legislatures.
Yeah, the Treasury Department and Highway DOT were sitting up there as targets for everybody in the room. I think that was the most full room I saw the entire week.
They were getting hit hard, I mean, I almost felt bad for them,
And then no control.
and they have no control. They're just trying to deliver the little bit of funds they do have now fairly.
So in December, we'll find out if we get any, end of December, beginning of January, we'll find out if we get receive any of the flex funds. So hopefully between us and the townships, we get a little bit of it back, so. As of, there's been no update, but as of right now, we still have 2 bridges in the semi-finance or quarter finalists, whatever they called it. For replacements and 5 for are still up and they're running for removals, so.
That's the federal program. Yeah.
Well, that's not, that's the next one, that's the state program. The federal funding lines, we still have some bridges out there from the last time as those went out. Was the Hagen Bridge is part of it, it'll finally be bid up this year. But that one's been closed for 4 years now, we closed that my first summer here, first spring here from things, and that one goes back to the bridge inspection too, where we went out there for one thing, but. The bridge inspection from the fall before said it was fine, and we got there and went, no way, this is fine. We had to close it right then, so. I know it brings hardship for everybody when we close these bridges, but they gotta leave the signs alone. Now it's gotten to the point where it's a state mandate that when the road is closed, we go put our barricades up. Then we have to do a one call, and then we have to anchor them into the ground so they're not, so people can't just easy throw them into the ditch.
You said that's
People
a
still
state
are.
mandate now? Okay, alright. Okay, we're getting a little off
So, yeah.
topic here, but, do I have a motion to approve the bill for the Northeast Bridge inspections?
Motion.
A second,
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll take roll. Ernie,
Nope.
Paul,
Yes.
Denny,
Yes, under protest.
Amy,
Yes.
myself, yes, motion carried. Amy,
Can we just give a quick update, Swanson and County Six Bridges?
County six is done, we're waiting on the inspection. People will probably notice people are driving over it, and I don't have a problem with that. Counties, the Swanson Bridge, we're waiting for inspections, they were having some things that they had to do, that should be opening soon. The one at Minto should be opening soon too, we're just waiting for the final inspections and walkthroughs. So those should be fully operational, I would say in the next 2 weeks, we should have that taken care of, so we're just waiting for inspections.
What about that bridge up on number 9?
It's in the running for Flux Fund,
Is it open?
yeah,
What
So-
tonnage?
right now it's at 21, I believe,
It is, okay.
so. Talk to me next week,
Yeah.
that one changes way too much.
okay, anything else for Jason? All right, well, thank you, Jason. Thank you, Jason.
Back Aaron? Oh,
Okay, would you guys like a break? Everybody's good?
Yeah,
Keep going? Okay. Yeah. Good morning, yeah.
Good morning. First item I had was abatements for Maynard Lillehaugen. For a parcel in Perth Township. He filed for the 2025 tax year, feeling that he qualified for a farm residence exemption as an active farmer on his home. So one of the individuals who didn't reply to my request for applications the last 2 winters, so we're going through an abatement process. He has now submitted the application and completed the statement of farm gross income to show that at least 66% of his gross income came from farming activities. There is a second house located on this parcel that has been taxable and will remain that way going forward. The Perth Township Board approved the abatement application. And I recommend that the House County Commission approve a motion to reduce the value to land value of $40,107, which is unchanged. And a new structure value of $97,429 for a total approval value of $137,536.
All right,
make a motion. We approve the abatement.
second, all right, any discussion? Paul,
No, I was
oh,
signaling to her that I
made the
had
second,
to say.
okay,
Yeah.
any discussion? All right, hearing none, I'll take roll. Denny,
Yes.
Paul,
Yes.
Ernie,
Yes.
Amy, yes, myself, yes, motion carried.
Right, then the second item for your consideration is a new extended contract with Vanguard Computer Systems, which is our mass appraisal camera vision software that our office utilizes. We've been with them since 2018, I believe. The contract, they had them put before us today is for 5 years with a locked-in rate of $12,900 per year. The first year a little more because we had 2 separate modules that were combining into one now, so they had to prorate a little bit, to catch up on the one module. So the first year would be for $13,117, and then the 4 years after that would be for $12,900. It is a 9.5% increase from what we've paid in just this past October. Typically, we see a 5% increase a year on these maintenance software maintenance fees, so locking in at this rate for 5 years would actually save us $3,818 over the 5 year time frame, assuming that it would go up 5% a year for those 5 years, so. I
Have they
recommend,
not heard that we're operating under a 3% cap, so,
Just
I
convert
mean,
it.
going up 10%, that's a big jump.
it is, but if it's better than 5% over 5 years, it's 25% increase. We're in the same boat with Tyler and every other software we have, their fees are going, their costs are going up too.
We're at their mercy.
Yeah.
We should all.
They can do it their own thing.
Right, wouldn't it be nice if we could do that?
I'll make a motion that we approve the Vanguard contract for 5 years.
Yeah, have a motion, have a second.
Second.
Any further discussion? Or grumblings? Hearing that, I'll take roll. Amy? Yes. Jenny?
Yes.
Ernie?
Yes,
Paul?
Yes.
Myself, yes, motion carries.
Uh,
Ernie?
just curiosity, Ed. If you get time one day, just a list of all our contracts and what it costs us a year.
All our contracts are.
Well, like, yeah, like Vanguard or this and that, this, yeah, I'd be interested, cause you know, in your budget you have it, but I said, you know, every time you come here, and I'm not against it. But it'd just be, cause you always get the question, well, how much you pay for this, how much you pay for that? I have no clue what we pay for contract. It'd be interesting to just see what we do,
Well, we obviously we just approved this, we approved the Sidwell contract last meeting.
you know?
Tyler, I think, is up for discussion later today, so you'll get a pretty good idea.
Yeah,
But there it is. I think this is a great thing to point out to our legislators.
yeah, and that's sort of curious, you know, we always complain even with KLJ, what it costs us for engineering in the water board with Houston.
Right.
And you see those numbers, but you never put them all together. And that's why I'd like to sort of see it. I'm not picking on anybody. It's just curiosity wise, if somebody asked me, I would say, well, guess what? On software last year, we spent $200,000.
Well, I can give you the ones that are my office.
Yeah, I would, and not against you, but you've got probably a majority of it because of the GPS and all this. But it'd be interesting. And they're great programs. Don't get me wrong. They do a lot of good work for us, but and especially when we get 10% increases or 9%, you know, it's spendy.
They're all professional services that we
Yeah.
have to have nowadays.
And maybe that's something we should point to the legislatures too, is that all our programs and stuff we've got, then you're giving us a 3% and everybody's charging us 10 or more.
It's the cost of doing business.
That's why they said it's going to be more and more difficult to stay within the 3% cap, because the costs are going to continue to raise and we're not going to be able to cover.
Yeah.
It's gonna be really difficult. We're going to have to make cuts.
One other item, the mobile home tax sale that was scheduled for October, due to the diligence of Officer Graham and April Vaughn, we ended up getting them all paid before the sale, so that was canceled. The last one was paid about an hour before the sale was scheduled. We did to be open, but, so thank you to them. And, we'll move on to next year.
Great. It's nice to hear.
We work at it and we get them, but it takes, the county loses money on these mobile homes. We spend way more in our time and fees and Officer Graham than we will ever get from these mobile home taxes.
Paul?
That's another thing that should be brought up at the legislature is how we tax mobile homes, because it's a loser. I mean, the way it's set up now is just a massive mess. And like he said, when you're losing money because you have to spend all this time and energy, multiple people involved, you'd be better off not taxing them at all. You'd be money ahead. But there's gotta be a better way to tax mobile homes than what we're currently doing. And I don't know what that would be, but that's a legislative problem as well.
I mean, the other taxing entities get their money. Cities, townships, fire districts, but they don't spend any resources on it. Well, county is spending all our resources and getting very little tax revenue. The one thing we talked about as well with the auditor's office is in which 3-year delinquent property was a $50 admin fee we can add. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
We know homes, we don't have any fee we can add. $50 fee is a slap in the face for the auditor's office, in my opinion. But,
Yeah.
again, that's a legislative thing, so.
Well, pass our thanks on to April and Ron to Lisa. We appreciate that their hard work on it. And if you come up with an idea to send to the legislation, that'd be awesome.
We'll add it to the laundry list.
Okay, sounds good.
Anything else for me?
Thanks, Ed.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ed. All right, good morning, Ron.
Good morning. Just wanted to give you an update on our current situation in the jail. Due to the staffing, I have with the consultation with the DOCR, voluntarily reclassified from a class 2 to a class 4 correctional center. this reclassification only allows us to hold inmates for up to 8 hours and no overnights. This was done voluntarily and in an effort to rehire as soon as possible and subsequently reclassify back to a class 2 facility as soon as possible. We have interviewed last week and we will begin interviewing next week. There are some prospects, some good prospects moving forward, and we hope to reclassify as soon as possible.
Good to hear, thank you. I mean, good to hear that you've interviewed.
Yes,
I should clarify that.
Madam Chair, so Ron, as soon as you're at a certain number of jail is when the class will go back to 2, is that
that
correct?
is correct.
How many inmates do we have out right now? Yeah, in Grand Forks,
I believe about 10 to 12,
Grand Forks the furthest, or
Grand Forks and Lake Region and Devils Lake. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thanks, Ron.
Ron, appreciate it. Boy, we're ahead of schedule today. It was amazing. Okay, Christina, you're up next.
All right, we had a call with Tyler yesterday about their AP automation, software. This is a software as a service, it's cloud-based. They do not offer it on our desktop versions, which we currently use. When we had the call with Tyler, they said that they're trying to encourage everyone to move to cloud-based. That's where they're going, for the future of Tyler, and that's where they're updating services, making the program more user-friendly, able to integrate more, perks into being able to use it. With the AP automation, they can set up an email address that you
what
can,
is that?
okay, accounts payable automation, sorry. Accounts payable automation. So you can set up an email address and have your vendors email that address, the invoices, and it will automatically fill out the purchase orders in your system. Fill out every line that we currently take a lot of time to fill out for every voucher that gets paid. It automatically saves the invoice in the cloud. So when you're going through future audits, it's easily accessible, easy to find. And then we can go in there and we can make sure it's correct and approved with the click of a button. So it cuts down on our time spent in our office, and they can do, Tyler takes over like the ACH payments. So we would do an ACH draw out of our bank account, and then Tyler would do the payment to all the vendors. So it would cut down on the check costs and the postage costs as well. So when we went through the presentation, they said that they see an average savings of about 18 grand for organizations who are cutting 3,000 checks a year. We cut closer to 5,000 a year. So that could be greater for us, but there is a cost, a yearly cost going forward. And same discussion that we had with Ed, the cost will increase each year, and they said it's about a 3 to 5% increase in cost each year.
And what is that cost?
So the cost for the AP automation is the $6,744. That is on page 31 of your packet. The bid starts at page 30.
What percent of our bills do you feel this would work on out of the 5,000? Or you think about 50% of the bills or 30%?
70%.
70%.
Oh, yes, because we have a lot of vendors that we pay every month. Yeah. And then they have a vendor portal that each vendor can log into to get all their information set up on there, and they can choose to get a paper check or a direct deposit, ACH from us. So it's more user friendly on updating vendor information as well. And then if we have issues, in the call yesterday, Tyler said that we would go to them and they would go to the vendor to solve the problem if there's issues with payment or anything like that. So it would be very beneficial to Welsh County, you know, this is where the future is always going. The AP automation, website, you know, it uses an algorithm, so it tracks what reports you're printing off more often. It kind of gathers the information like any other website and then just adapts it to what you use most and to make your experience easier, more user friendly, you can do your job quicker. So just something for the commission to think about as we're moving forward in the auditor treasurer's office. Forward with technology, it is an ongoing cost for the county that isn't currently budgeted. We just had the call yesterday morning. In the IT budget, there's $76,000 still in the IT budget not spent.
For that,
76,000 in the IT budget that has not been spent this year. But I did lower the budget for next year because I felt like this budget was too high for what we currently spend money on.
And Madam Chair, so would you probably line item this then on its own versus within IT if we were going to proceed with it then?
I think, so technology is a part of the general fund budget. We could make Tyler a separate line item. We could, yeah, if that's what you guys want.
so
So
I'm not sure if that's,
What would the benefit?
yeah, that's what I'm wondering, what are you thinking?
Well, I'm just saying, you're talking about IT at this point but it would be going forward within the technology budget. Is Tyler mostly what is in the technology budget already?
no, so it's ITD, so North Dakota ITD, and then NDACO, which is the NRG. NRG is billed through NDACO. And then we have Tyler in there. Soft Choice is a vendor that NRG uses a lot for any new computers that they order for our county. We have one for ARCA Search, that was back in May, so I'd have to look into what that was about. And then one for Elon, which I assume would be something to do with technology or computer. And then we just have our website revised, our Walsh County website.
So you would want it included with wherever you have Tyler at, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And I see Kelsey popped into the room.
Yeah, I just wanna say one thing about this. For Tyler, is I spoke with NRG this morning and we have to have servers that host Tyler remotely in our system. And they have a warranty or server warranty for 3 to 5 years, and ours is 5 years. And we had the server put in 2020, so the warranty will be expiring on December 17th. So with going to this Tyler cloud, we already have the licensing for the web portal, the cloud itself. We just don't have the licensing for the AP automation, which is for the billing part of it. So they said with doing this and going to the web, we're going to be saving money because we're not having to redo that server for the remote system for the desktop. And so our contract, they said our yearly contract will go down for that. We still will have to have servers for like your hard drives or your drives for online, like your filing and all of that. But as far as like the Tyler server itself, we will not have to have with it being on the cloud.
So how much of a savings, like what do we pay for the server now versus what we would be paying for this?
He didn't tell me that fully. He said, depending on what you guys wanna do, they'll kind of give us more information on it later. He just kind of gave me a general like information about it, saying it will cut costs for sure. Just, he said it's not gonna be like $10,000, but it's going to be, it's money, it's going to be cut.
Right, I mean, I'd like to know what that amount is.
Sure, yeah.
I mean, I think
Yeah,
that.
and I mean, that's gonna be servers with that expiring, that warranty expiring this year.
Mhm.
So we're going to have to do something regardless, whether we switch to the cloud or not.
Right.
So going off the cloud or going onto the cloud, that's going to be automatic savings. I think it's great. After seeing the demo yesterday, we sat and watched it. I think it's gonna help us a ton. It's very user friendly. It will work for us. Like the system we can set it up to generate reports on its own monthly to send them out. The payments, I mean, it's a lot for our offices to do. The billing itself isn't a one person's job monthly. And
So are we cutting a person then? I'm sorry, but that worries me a little bit.
Where we can actually have distribution of work set out where we can all work together more, because Linda does the bills now. And she does the bills, but Tammy's doing her part of the bills. Savannah's doing her part, like they input them into the system. So when Christy Cobell was here, we had talked about it to see kind of how it would work if they would just input their bills into our system. And so it's worked wonders. Savannah does a fabulous job. Tammy does a fabulous job. They can log in and just put their bills in. We'll be able to go paperless because of that, which is a huge savings because of all the vouchers and all of that. We can scan in all the invoices into Tyler. So it'll all be on the system, depending on how you guys want to do it, but having them input their bills since they already make vouchers is going to save them a ton of time as well, because all they have to do is scan their invoices in. I know that the auditor treasurer's office is responsible for the bills, but having them, they already make vouchers. They already bring us their bills. So they're doing their billing on their own, but having them scan it into the system and put it into the queue basically. And it's gonna save them so much time, because that system will automatically pick up the invoicing, the accounts it needs to go to, like the funds. Like it will just distribute it to the right places.
Couple of questions. My first question would be, is this an upfront cost or is this an annual cost?
So the $6,744 is the annual cost for AP automation.
Okay.
Accounts payable automation.
And the second question is, you talked about an NR Tyler server that we purchased 5 years ago that's coming off of warranty. So if we do this, that server is there and useful, but if that server goes down, we don't have to replace that server?
Right, the Tyler part of it, we don't have to have it because we're on a cloud base, we're on a web base now. So you don't have to have the remote server, we don't have to have it anymore.
So we're already on the web base. We just don't have the AP.
We have the licensing for the web portal, we just have not used it. We haven't set it up, we've been paying for it, but we haven't utilized it yet, which is fine because we really needed to get our system aligned from the conversion and everything that was going on with that. But now I think we're at a point where we can upgrade our system to make it more user friendly and work better for us. That's just my thoughts on it.
So the way I understood Tyler was, maybe I'm not understanding it correctly, but they have lots of great things out there. But we're going to pay for every great thing we want. Every, when we wanted the teenage time and attendance system, we wanted that.
Yeah.
The cost was so great, we couldn't afford it. This is kind of the same thing, right? I'm not saying the cost is so great here, but I'm just saying, any module or new thing we want, we're gonna pay for the suits.
Sure, you're going to, yes. And so they did give us a sheet, it was in a demo video I had watched, but they said roughly, we cut anywhere between 3,000 to 5,000 checks a year. This year has been a lot more, check wise. We cut almost 100 checks every commission meeting. And that doesn't include the ones in between. We pay a lot of, we have things going on, so we're working, bills are bills, but they said annually with just a minimum of 3,000 checks, you save about $18,000.
Where do you save the money on?
From postage, from paper, from time,
But time we're not going to save because we're going to keep on the same amount,
Sure, but
correct?
yes, but your time, they say you save 20 hours a week just in billing from going to the system, and to have that 20 hours to be able to have someone else contributing to more things that we need, it takes the load, you can balance your workload. And that's, I think, is something that would make a huge difference.
I mean, I
But-
think postage is a huge savings,
It's,
that,
yes, and
what
it
that
keeps
is.
going up, and it's, you know, and it's expensive. It's expensive, and if you have to void checks, I mean, that's, you're still sending out another check, so, I mean, yeah.
Mm.
I mean, I agree that this is the way the future is going, you know, this to me seems efficient, we have a fairly young. Office in the auditor's, you know, auditor's office for sure, so from a perspective of picking it up and kind of getting it established and. It's just, you know, I use a cloud in my business, that's, I just feel that that's the direction we're going, so whether it's busy work or just efficiencies in general. I agree, I think there's other uses of their time, I don't think we're able to cut a position, I just think this is the direction we go in this. The realm to not be still doing checks.
Right, and I was saying that in humor, I guess, I wasn't saying we would
Yeah.
cut a position.
No.
Don't get that out there.
No, but I mean,
I
it will
think-
free up time, yes. I mean, Linda will still, obviously, if that's what she's going to do, she will still be able to do that in the system. She will just have more time to do other things that,
So the 30% that would not be able to be completed through the software, can you scan it in manually?
yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
so 70% would be done automatically, 30% you guys would scan in manually, so we would not be cutting or mailing any checks unless the vendor wanted a check
Correct.
specifically.
Yes. Correct.
Yeah.
Okay,
And they have
what's the
their own
upfront
number.
cost? You said annually it's like 6,700, but is there an upfront initial purchase of this?
Okay, so we currently have our annual cost of the 12,500, but they had other costs this year that we had. So I would have to go back and look what that other invoice was because we asked Tyler about the two separate costs and they did not reply on that second one.
So that maintenance one, the $12,000 one, that's the maintenance for the system. The $18,000 one, that's like that's your licensing for Tyler. So that's everything, every license that we have for the system itself, that's those two bills. And we already have the web portal licensing, so we don't need that, we already have that. It's this AP automation, if this is something that we wanna do, that would be $6,700 for that licensing.
Annually.
But there's always an upfront fee to purchase, isn't there?
So it's $6,700 that you pay upfront for it to get it going, but then annually to keep the license will be that $6,700. That will be added to the rest of the license that we have in that bill.
So basically the fee is $6,700 a year. There is no upfront purchase.
No, it's that one-time fee. There's nothing, yeah,
And
So
what's
there
the
was a
one-time fee?
one-time fee of,
67,
So it's the same.
yeah. So you're
so
gonna have
they
to
gave
pay
us
for it.
another quote and we said the one-time fee of $1,440. So 18,454, that's on page 35. And then the recurring fees would be the 17,000 plus
The 67.
the 6,700.
Yes.
Is this urgent or is it possible that our next meeting, like, I would like to see, you know, if we don't use that server anymore, is there a cost savings there, like things. Put together a little prettier, I mean, just so that we have a direct picture of this is what it's gonna cost us, here are savings we potentially could have. I know you can't when it comes to efficiency and hours, but you know, just to come with something that. Shows us what we have, what we will have if we stay with this versus. The switch over.
I would like to see that as well.
Yeah, we were working on that too.
You guys didn't get much time, right? Because you just had a call yesterday, so.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Something's not adding up there, because right now we pay $30,000 doing school ERP and tax wise. And highly doubt we're going down to 18,000.
So this is just for the accounting services,
Okay, so right now we
Well, I
pay
think-
12, and that's going to 17,
yep, plus the
plus
67.
the upfront, but wasn't there an upfront cost for tax wise too?
yeah, so we would have to convert tax wise as well to the web services, and that was an
5,000 something.
increase. Yeah,
And then the annual maintenance is going from 18 to
32,000.
32,000.
oh my,
Yeah, and there's like so we were trying to get a layout from them, they sent us an email, of the cost, I mean, it's going to cost money to get it
It's going to cost money, so it's.
Well, that's what I
either-
was asking the whole time.
Yeah.
What's the upfront cost?
It's going to cost, money. to-
Okay, so can I ask that Christina and Kelsey and Ed, would you guys all work on this together and bring us back some solid numbers so we
Yeah.
can review?
Anybody been able to keep track of this?
That's how we felt with it a little bit too.
That's
I got
So
what
we
we
just kind of wanted to let.
I got
guys
lost
know.
in $6,700.
Yeah, Ed,
Yeah,
So what Kelsey showed me last week, and I wasn't here for the demonstration yesterday. I was estimating an upfront cost of 11,000. Two programs.
Yep.
And then our annual maintenance between the two programs going from 30,000 to 50,000 a year. Was my estimate.
This has got a lot more expensive than
Now,
then
I-
$6,700 annually.
well, that's
And it
the,
may very well be worth that, I can't say
Right.
if it is or isn't, but.
Well, we'll give you some guys some time to check into
Yeah.
it more and get us some solid numbers maybe for the next meeting. Would that be all right?
And I would encourage you, I mean, use Linda's time maybe, if you're saying 20 hours, or, I mean, just so that you're showing us all the potential. Saving.
Yeah.
yeah, it is a lot. It was a lot talking to them, but that.
Regardless, we're gonna pay out for Linda's time, so.
Yeah, well, I mean, and Linda does the bills, but I think the AP automation, just talking about that licensing, since we already have the other one. That licensing is the 6744. That is what that licensing, costs. So, I mean, that's something that I'm glad that she did bring up, because I think that would be a huge benefit to the county. I mean, it's going.
I have no doubt this would be awesome.
Sure,
I mean, I think it sounds wonderful. It's just, can we afford it? And
So Christina, can we add the AP automation without going to the cloud base? It's all or nothing?
yeah, it's all or nothing.
And I had requested yesterday during the demo call that they send me everything we currently have. And then everything we would be paying, and they did not do that, so I didn't have that for you guys.
okay. Well, thank you, and we'll check it out as soon as you guys get those numbers back to us. We'll look into it further if that's all right with everyone.
Good start, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
you planted the seed.
yes, that was really the goal.
Yeah.
Was to get us thinking.
Thank
about
you,
it.
Kelsey. Okay, do we need a break or will we keep on?
Finish your printer and then we go break.
All right, so my next proposal is for a printer copier for the auditor's side of the office. We just have our small desktop printers, and with the volume of paperwork that we scan in and make copies of, it would be helpful for us to have our own printer. Over here, Scott Eaton was here from Marco, and so he took a look at the space that I would like the copier printer in, and he said it would fit great there right by Jaren's office, inside the office there after we had cleaned our office up. So the cost is $168.19 a month for the copier printer, and it comes to around $2,000 a year. And this is cheaper than the tax wise printers. Mr. Beaton made sure to tell me that. Then our contract with the tax wise printer, so.
So that's with the maintenance agreement?
Yep,
This one.
yeah.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
this would just be an office supply budget or one. Is there other departments that have copiers? Like there isn't one of these in another department anywhere, is there within the courthouse or one of these beasts?
Let's go.
There's one in the highway department and there's one in my office. That we all share on this floor, so they're constantly running. They get things all the time.
Yeah, I find that to be inefficient. I would think that'd be very inefficient. I mean, I can't imagine that they don't have their own copier. Other than these little desktop things that you can't do much on.
Yeah.
They're like a little home
Yeah.
copier,
We
right?
just scan in 3
Use that.
pages at a time.
So
Are those through Marco too? Okay.
Yeah, I believe so, yeah.
All in one contract.
Won't be able to chit chat when you go over.
I mean, to me, it's okay, I just feel a little bad when it's meeting with someone in his office and I gotta walk through there, so.
I've been there as well, in
Yeah.
Ed's office, and somebody's always coming in and
Yeah.
hopping, and which is fine, but I just think for efficiency purposes, you guys could certainly use one. Would you have it in your budget?
Oh, yes, yeah, so we still have that 35,000 excess projected in the auditor treasurer budget.
But this will be for next year, right? You have excess for next year? You
Um,
have this year, you have.
yeah, this year we have it,
Which will just roll back into the general fund, right?
yeah.
Make a motion, we approve the purchase of the copier.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none, I'll take roll. Debbie?
Yes.
Amy? Yes. Rudy?
Yes.
Paul?
Yes.
Myself, yes, motion carries.
Thank you.
All right. Now, we'll take a break?
I think you did.
Okay, we'll take a break. You wanna-
I just.
Okay, I'll call the meeting back to order, and up next, we have our Walsh County JDA, Stacy Stephanie here this morning. Morning, Stacy.
Morning. So in your packet, you should have gotten the information that I wanted to talk with you guys about today. First of all, is the self-help program, guidelines revision. As a reminder, we kind of put a pause on this program, when earlier this year, when it was uncertain if it was gonna be funded going forward, and so now that it was, added or included in the budget, we wanted to revisit this. I did share these thoughts with Christina and to talk about revising the timeline, basically, because we needed to, and this actually probably makes more sense. I'm not sure why it was set up the way it was before, but you can see that this program has existed since the late nineties, so it's been out there longer than my time, obviously, here, so, but it's basically a grant program to the cities that the county funds, one-to-one match. And it is well used, I think, usually about 11 of the 13 cities do use the program, so, and I have had quite a few actually call me, because they're used to getting the applications right now, and saying what's going on. I just been telling them, look, we're gonna wait to see what happens with the 26 budget, and now that's kind of why I'm here, is basically a purpose today is a revision of the program guidelines. Basically, number one, to better mirror the county budget, and then, therefore, everything else will kind of fall in line with that. So what is in red text are the suggested revisions from previously, under 3A on the first page, as far as program criteria, that was already happening. It just wasn't in the guidelines, so I thought it'd probably be prudent to add it in there. We do have a couple of cities that trade off, like one year they'll apply on behalf of the park board. And then the next year they apply on behalf of themselves or whatever, so. In the application process, there's a few pieces in there, and I can talk more specifically about that as far as revising the timeline to better match everything, so. That's the majority of the revisions, so. What we're proposing for the 26 program, basically in December of this year, I would send notices to the cities that the application window is open for the 26 program. Then they would have till April of 26 to apply. Then in May or June, I would come and present the request to you that you would make a decision on, and then notices would go out at that same time as well. And then the cities would have until December 1st of 26 to submit their request for reimbursement. So basically, everything's following the calendar year and therefore following the county budget year, which makes more sense than how it was done previously. So the results basically are the shortens the application window for the cities, which I don't necessarily think is a bad thing, because I think sometimes this would get forgotten about when they had a long window. And then secondly, it mirrors the county budget timeline too. So those are the suggested revisions.
I have one question. Maybe my memory isn't serving me correctly, but I was thinking it was 1,000, it's 1,500.
The grant program is up to 1,500, you guys have just been awarding it, how's it?
Oh, okay, so we only do a max of 1,000, okay, Paul.
My question is, I just want to confirm that this was still in the 26 budget. There was a lot of plus, okay, that's what I don't.
It's squeaked through.
Yeah. Good way to put it.
I need a motion to approve the self-help program guidelines as edited.
I have a motion, to have a second?
No, second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll take a roll. Amy?
Yes.
Jenny?
Yes.
Trudy?
Yes.
Yes.
Myself, yes, motion carried.
So I did bring one that's ready to go, assuming you guys, we're not, it's all the previous sign needs to be signed, so I'll say the previous sign.
Okay.
Then secondly, I wanted to talk about the rural grocery sustainability grants. I talked about it last time we were here, it was just opening, last time I was here. And so that's that information sheet that you have also. So just a reminder, this was appropriated by the 25 legislature, there was $1 million in the pool. It was basically cutthroat competitive. You can see that there was 47 applications completed for 4.8 million. So obviously demand far exceeded need, demand far exceeded availability of funds. For Walsh County, I submitted apps with Hoopel Grocery and Market on Main and Edinburgh. This was an 80% grant, 20% match. In total from our region 4, so the 4 counties, we submitted 9 applications and 3 were awarded. So basically $250,000 million came to our region, and one of those applicants that was awarded was Hoopel Grocery. So, Their project is, it's a larger project, they've received a full 150,000, which was the max they could receive. They're basically gonna be doing a small. Expansion of the building to add cooler and freezer space. So we're excited about that. But also trying to help them figure out where they're gonna get the match from, because that's a significant portion for that too. Edinburgh's application was not funded, unfortunately, but, we're working on applying for another state grant, and then if that doesn't work, then there's a USDA program that might be eligible for some of their projects. But obviously, all of that is on hold right now, with the federal government shut down, but we're gonna figure it out. I mean, there's some options there, so. I just wanted to give you guys an update on that, so. Any questions?
So the 3 in black are the funded ones?
Correct. From our region.
Yeah.
The map on the upper right hand shows where all of them were for the state, so if you look, up in the northeast corner. We had a fairly strong representation as far as, where that awards went. We were concerned that there was gonna be geography would come into play, and it doesn't sound like it did, because we were able to get so many projects awarded in our region, so. And then lastly, I just left this for you on your, place list. This is happening on Thursday, partnered with Fargo Luncheon at the Incubator Project here in Grafton. And so you all would have received an invitation by email. I know it said our deadline is passed, but if you are able to attend, just please email Brenda. There will be a luncheon afterwards, we've seen a head count from the planning purposes. So I just wanted to remind you of that, that's happening this week too.
Can we just go back to the grocery, which hats off, anything we can do to keep our grocery stores is wonderful or help them. But I'm just wondering, how's that program going where, like, I know Fordville has it with the storage or
Lockers.
lockers.
Lockers, yeah. So it was slow to take off the locker part, but, as far as, from what I understand, the cooperative between Edinburgh, Craig River and Hoopla is going well. In fact, for this rural grocery sustainability grant, that was a project that was used as an example of what other grocery stores should apply for. So Walsh County was already doing the thing that people were suggesting
Mhm.
others apply for. So, as far as the grocery owners, operators, they are 1000% enjoying that partnership as far as the cooperative.
So can I just share a comment I heard? The
Yeah.
people were really excited about it, but they were very shocked by the fee. That, they said it just, I wanna say it was $15 fee, maybe I'm wrong.
Oh, for the actual lockers, you mean?
Yeah.
Okay,
Well, no, I think for each delivery of groceries, with you, I understood it.
yes, so we're kind of talking about two different things here. I thought you were talking about like the cooperative, like the buying cooperative that.
Oh, no, I'm talking about the lockers, people
Okay.
using the lockers.
Okay,
Yeah, and that's just one comment I heard was, well, I can't really afford to add another $15. And I thought, well, it costs you money, but if you were gonna drive to the
Exactly.
store, it costs you money. But that, I just wanted to give you that feedback.
okay,
That is the one thing I heard, that if I, I can order, I hate to say this, but this is the comment that was made. Well, I can order a lot of my stuff off of
Yeah.
Sam's Club or Walmart, but I wanna get my frozen stuff and my whole, things.
Mhm.
And if I have $15 fee on that, it doesn't make it worth it.
Mhm.
I think it's still a wonderful,
Mhm.
wonderful project, but just to give you some feedback.
Mhm.
And I mean, I would hope that people, since they could order, if you're gonna pay the $15 fee, you'd order all your groceries.
Exactly,
That
right,
would to me be the key, but
Hats off to Senator Murdoch for sponsoring this.
yes, so, she's kind of been on speed dial, and when Edinburgh didn't get funded, she might have gotten one. Or a couple, but, I don't think this is gonna go away. What we learned this process is rural grocery is very fragile, very, very fragile. So, and now we have all the data to show it, and this is the second biennium that this program was. Funded by the legislature, this was a larger amount than 23, so we're really hopeful that it continues, because the need is definitely, so.
Great, well,
That's all I
thank you for the update.
Yep.
Okay, let's just go back to the additions to the agenda. PIO update.
Yeah, Chris Larson just wanted me to pass on, so he's been in the hospital since October 29th. He may be discharged this week. If there's anything that comes up, he says to call his personal phone, he's left his work phone at home to focus on healing and improving, and then he'll check in once he's feeling back up to it for. So. Healing
Well,
prayers
well
for
wishes to
Chris.
him, yes. Hopefully he gets well quick. Thank you. All right, Christina, anyone for public comment?
So. We had Jim come in, wanting to speak about roads, so I think we can have him under public comment or unfinished business if you wanted to call on him.
I'm still confused by our public comment policy and I wanna do it the right way. It's my understanding he did not fill it out prior to the meeting and it's not a specific agenda item. I mean, I know we talked about it in general.
Yeah.
So we're not going to do this under public comment. I guess it would be my call.
Okay.
However, I would like to call on you, Jim, under unfinished other business, if that's all right with the rest of the commission. We're winging it sometimes on this new policy, so we just wanna make sure you're right. If you'd like.
Yeah. The only bad thing about not having you in the public comment, we can limit you to 3 minutes.
I wasn't going to tell him that.
I couldn't resist it.
I promise I won't take more than 3.
Morning, Jim. What would you like to visit?
Well, I just have a little trouble with Jason on some, I mean, I don't think he gives his employees enough, leeway. Because, I've talked to 2 or 3 of the employees there and I asked them, why aren't you guys out blading or, gravel? He said, because Jason told us we're not gonna do it yet. And the Grafton Piler's been shut down for quite a while now. And that number 6 on, especially when you get where Rutherford dug. Once it's deep. So if we get some snow and rain on that, they'll never be able to fix it this winter. Especially if it gets cold. We've been out with the blade, as soon as the guys got done with the field. We went and did the blade for Grafton Township and we got all our mud off the roads. So, and he's got some good employees working.
So can I ask you this? You're hearing this from employees. Have you asked Jason directly? About,
You were
This
calling,
situation.
he doesn't answer his phone.
well, he was here this morning. Did you
I
happen to
know.
ask him? Did you
No,
happen to ask him?
I did ask.
I mean, I'm just saying, there's
Why
always
hasn't
2
he been out
sides to
there,
every
but-
story, so I just wanna make sure that we're getting the whole story,
Yeah,
you know?
well, the employee told me he's bullheaded. It's his way or the highway, you know.
Madam Chair,
Yes,
I will say from coming on the commission, I think there is some concern with delegation. I mean, you, a strong leader, you know how to delegate what you can't do. And it's hard sometimes too, but I think the best thing you can do is empower who's under you. To be able to encourage, cause I agree, there are really good staff in that department and we don't wanna lose them for. Not doing, what they're capable of doing. So I just have to say that I have had those concerns since getting on the commission. I have had people come to me and more than one employee.
I don't know why he doesn't wanna designate it. You got a good employee, you wanna have that kid out there, especially if you got the equipment to be out there with,
But some of them aren't
And I know,
qualified to do the blades or something, and that's the trouble. So, but,
yeah,
and during these, and I'm not sticking up for him, I've had a talk with Tanya and I know we've gotta do a little bit more direction. He's still learning being here and I know he gets stubborn, stuck in the corner, but. There's also times that I know he's told some guys to go do something, like even the foreman, and they just don't wanna do it unless they got that work order. Well, we've got guys here that have been here 25, 30 years. And there's a big difference between the foreman here and the foreman here. This one, he doesn't even ask Jason, he just goes, do it. And this one wants that piece of paper. Well, no, go do it. And I'm not stuck in the either way, but I think internally, when you talk about more of it, that's what maybe me as a portfolio holder in this winter, I'm gonna look at it. We've gotta be on the same page, boys, and if there's something to do, and Jason doesn't have the time and everything else, I'll stick up for Jason, cause I look, and you're right. Maybe he shouldn't have been on top of the jail for 3 days patching a hole, somebody else should have done. So there's a lot of delegation there that I think he can do that he's missing, and I totally get it.
and I don't know why he wouldn't wanna do that.
Well, sometimes I think of it, and he just talked about it earlier, about the money and, you know, like working at money. Or if we work on a building here, do we have to charge him? If he does it, he doesn't, cause he's not by the hour. I don't know. And that's the things I wanna talk about, cause yeah, I know of a couple there that are just busy guys that they wanna be busy.
Mhm.
So, yeah, I appreciate it, Tully.
Yeah.
And you know what? I try to stop and talk to them as much as I can and ask them, but it's just like, they don't wanna open up to me. But I said, you know, guys, nobody's gonna be in trouble for this. This is only the way we're gonna get better and stronger.
Right,
And you're right, if we got the equipment and the time and the guy to do it, why aren't we doing it?
and he needs to call people, he needs to call people back if they
Yeah.
call him.
Yeah.
Because some of the stuff could be
And I get,
pretty
he,
important.
yeah, he's gotten a lot better at it, but at the beginning, I got a lot of phone calls and I said, Jason, they're the taxpayers of the township, guys, you gotta call. And then when they call me, then he gets it in his ear and I do, I bet, I said, you know, damn it, you gotta call these guys back. So,
All right,
Then,
that's all I have.
well, we had a couple questions here.
But how's Jason supposed to keep control of his office when he has employees? And I'm not saying they shouldn't be doing it, but he's gotta know what those employees are doing. He just can't have everybody running off and, oh, I'm gonna do this today, I'm gonna do that today.
Yeah, but don't you think he can designate certain jobs to his employees?
I think he does.
Yeah.
I think he does, but like we were talking earlier, we lose employees to Pete Harts. So we're short employees
Oh,
and
I know he makes lists once in a while, and whether they get done or not, and it could maybe a pass through if they go to the important ones or not. And maybe that's what we gotta look at here, call it a wish list. This, and you start at the top, and if you're not busy, if I'm busy and I'm in a meeting, I'm gone or something, you don't need that piece of paper. Go do it. And there's,
I would disagree. Work orders need to be done. There needs to be.
but why
work
can't the
orders.
foreman do it? He can work that foreman.
Then he needs to direct the foreman to do it.
He's
At the
told
end of
him
the
that.
day, in nursing, if it's not charted, it's not done. Documentation needs to be done. He needs to get organized. And if there's a wish list, then you make work orders so that they can come in and take them. There has to be a process. There can't be this is the same issue I have with dispatch when someone says, well, they'll do it for me, but they won't. There has to be consistency. So if there's not, how do we expect these employees to know what to do?
Okay,
He's,
go ahead. You can-
he's given the foreman over in Park River authority, and he'll do that. And the one over here, I sat in a meeting and he said I didn't want to do it just cause he'd get blamed. Well, you're a foreman, maybe you should be able to put that out there and get it.
Oh.
And
I'm new, you know, this is all new to me, but I am learning and I've heard some of your comments before, but I think documentation is important. I'm a little unclear whose job it is to do that documentation. I think that has to go back to Tanya and the job descriptions, and is it in the foreman's job description to do the work orders or not? And if it is, it is. If it isn't, then maybe it needs to be, if that's how we wanna handle it. And if it's in his job description, then he's the one that should be doing it. And if it's somebody's job description should address that issue, cause I agree, documentation, it's just like everything else. If you're not documenting things, it's gonna lead to problems.
So my question is. To you, John. Is your concern that the roads are not being bladed quick enough? I understand you have a grievance, but.
Especially in this big deal, and I
Okay,
agree that
do any
it's
of,
gotta go two directions, I agree with that.
and do any of us feel that our blades have been sitting when they shouldn't be? Or
Well,
have our blades been busy constantly?
I haven't seen a blade on 6 since they got done digging beats there.
Okay, so does anybody on the commission think that our blades have been sitting? I don't think they have been,
Well, maybe they haven't been.
and maybe they're just not getting to the roads where we'd all like them to get to. But I do think our blade operators have been busy the whole time. I know I've sent concerns to Jason that I hear in the public. And he'll be like, well, I've got the blade, we're chasing mud.
Yeah.
Everybody wants their road done, right? I mean, 12B, these guys hear me all the time about 12B, I get calls on 12B all the time. 12B didn't get done because they were chasing mud, they were probably on 8 or 19 or wherever, but. I guess I wanna stick to the concern here, the concern is that 6 has not been bladed. Okay,
They had a blade on it, maybe once or twice, and they just did a little bit. But the last part of beet harvest on 6 was
There was some really some mud brought up on the road. I mean, it's probably this thick.
Okay, how long ago was that, do you suppose?
Oh, it's been, well, it was 10 days ago.
Okay, so we need to get
So-
on that, I would say.
I know they're out
It's
there,
not
I,
that far out of town, you know, and come on and do it and then let's get some gravel going, cause we're graveling in the townships. I think he's gotta get gravel on
he's
it.
got them lined up, but I think they wanna blade him first and get the mud off.
Yeah, I know, but he's gotta get it done because if it snows or rains here, it's over.
But in his defense, and I'm listening to you, Jim, this county's also big, and when he does it, and I know he calls me a lot. He picks on the main ones, the main problems, and maybe you think 6 is bad, maybe in his eyes it ain't as bad as, I know 19. I drove around it last week and I come in on 6.
I'm not gonna.
Horrible. And number 4, I had to raise my pickup cause I got the air on it, suspension, so I wouldn't hit bottom and drag out. That's how much mud was on the road.
That was awful.
Yeah, so in his defense, there was problems all over, and we'll get it done, he's already said about blading and that, so
But
just give
yeah,
us some time.
I think if he could just,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, dictate to his employees. You know, you run this department or run,
I think we need more of that, you bet.
and I think things would get done smoother that way. You
How
know,
much of this responsibility goes back to the farmers that are putting the mud on the road?
quite a bit of it.
We were corn chopping last week ago Sunday, totally ruined that road,
Yeah,
but Garrett was out there at 10:30 that night.
Blading it off.
and a lot of guys are pretty good about
Yeah.
trying to get what they can on, you know.
Yeah,
And they take, like Mikey Olson and Beats over by our place and he took his loads out on a township road. Of course, he was going on number 6 with it. You know, cause he just had a dirt road, he's either go there or, you know,
I don't know.
his trucks are meeting each other in the curve, you know, so,
Most guys are pretty good, it's
yeah.
just like anything else.
Most guys are really good, so.
And you know what? You think of our modern road policy, I always say, you know, if they make an attempt, we can work with them, but if they just go and leave everything there and then we gotta fix everything. I mean, like you said, at 19, he was there almost 3 days in a row, and then he still had to go back because he couldn't even get the mud off the road. So we're spending a lot more time on this than.
I know.
Yeah,
This year,
Oh.
cause we haven't had a bad harvest like this for 3 years at least.
I think this is,
Yeah, it was awful.
I think this is the worst
Worst
harvest
one,
we had since I've been a commissioner. I mean, it's all over the county.
yeah. All right.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you for your time.
Since you
See you.
This is the worst one. I mean, it was all, usually you get around meats and potatoes, but I mean, we got.
All right, any other unfinished business?